Hi everyone, I'm Chrissy Midwife and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be all about how do you know if your breasts are making enough breast milk and how do you know your baby's receiving enough breast milk. I will start off by saying that when I'm referring to milk today, I am talking about breast milk received from the breast. Now, perceived low milk supply is the #1 reason why most mums stop breastfeeding. And because of this, breastfeeding can be quite an anxiety-inducing time as a new parent. And as new mums, our biggest concern obviously is, are our babies receiving enough milk so that they can grow and develop? And that's why today I want to talk to you all about breast milk, milk production and babies, and all the wonderful benefits of breastfeeding and breast milk for new babies. As a midwife, I get hundreds of questions a week on how do I know my baby's getting enough milk. So today's video is going to cover the signs so that you can tell if your baby is getting enough breast milk, and the signs to know that your breasts are in fact producing enough breast milk as well. And I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to encourage your milk supply as well. Before we get started, I'd love it if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit that little bell beside it, and give this video a like and a share. I will say that anything I'm covering today is for generalized educational purposes, and if you are seeing any of these signs in your baby that potentially they are not receiving enough breast milk, or potentially your breasts are not making enough breast milk and you are concerned, it is really important to contact your local general practitioner, pediatrician, midwife, lactation consultant, or the Australian Breastfeeding Association. And I have popped some of those links in the description below. Let's start off by talking about how do your breasts even know how much milk to make, or if they should be making any milk at all. And quite simply, pop your baby on the breast. Milk production is a supply and demand process, and the more the baby is at the breast and the breasts are being stimulated, the more milk will be produced. To aid the supply and demand process, quite simply, you should be feeding your baby every 2 to 3 or 2 to 4 hours, which is about 8 to 12 times in a 24-hour period. In day 2 to 3 post-birth, your baby will start to wake up and actively seek the breast. You will start to notice that they will start to turn their head, open their mouth, and root for the breast. You want your baby to be active and alert and seeking the breast. When they are on the breast, you want them to be vigorously sucking. You do not want your baby to be sleepy and lethargic through the feed. If this occurs, a good tip to try is to undress your baby, bring them back down to their nappy and do some skin to skin first. And if that doesn't work and they're not actively looking for the breast or vigorously sucking, change their nappy and try and wake them up a little bit, and then put them back to the breast. This sometimes can aid them from waking from that sleep cycle to an awake cycle to be actively alert. Another thing to consider is, how do your breasts feel? In the first few days post-birth, your breast will be producing colostrum, which is an early milk that is full of proteins, nutrients, and immunoglobulins. This is enough to feed your baby in the first few days. Every woman is a little bit different, but you can expect your milk to come in around day 2 to 6. When that occurs, your breasts will feel quite full, quite heavy, and quite hot, and they'll feel like they have quite a lot of pressure in them. So when you're feeding your baby and your baby is active and alert and vigorously sucking on the breast, you will start to feel the pressure within your breast release, and your breast will start to soften. And that's a really good way to know whether your baby is actually receiving any milk. Now, we have a baby that's at the breast that is vigorously sucking, and your breast is starting to feel softer and emptying. We now need to look at the temperament of your baby post the feed. Is your baby still hungry? Are they still fussing? Are they still turning their head and actively seeking the breast? If so, and your first breast has softened, you then give your baby a little burp and offer them the other side. If your baby is sleepy and little milk drunk and looking a little like they're quite happy to just be tucked up back into bed, then you can know that your baby has received quite a good feed. It is important to note that while some babies will have both breasts at each feed, some babies will only have one breast per feed. So it's really important to feel your breast post the feed and see whether it is softened and emptied, and also look at the temperament of your baby. Are they happy, content, milk drunk? And then you know they've had quite a decent feed. The other way to know how your baby's receiving enough milk is what's coming out. The simple fact is, if nothing goes in, nothing's going to come out. So let's look at their wees and poos. A baby who is receiving enough breast milk is going to have at least 6 to 8 wet, heavy nappies per day and 3-ish poos per day. Every baby's different. Some poo lots, some poo a little bit. So that part's the tricky part, but you want that nice yellow, mustardy, sort of whole grain mustardy look about their poos. And then you know that their body has taken in the milk, digested the milk, and excreted the waste products. So 6 to 8 wet, heavy nappies a day and 3-ish poos a day is a really good sign that your baby is actually receiving breast milk from the breast. It's really important to consider, is your baby putting on enough weight? That's another way to tell if they are receiving enough breast milk. Babies who are receiving enough calories will gain weight. It is expected that it may take 2 weeks before your baby returns to their birth weight. But from day 14, your baby should be putting on average 25 to 30 grams per day. So if we're looking at a weekly total, we're looking anywhere between 150 and 200 grams as a minimum weight gain per week. That's another really good sign that your baby is receiving enough milk. You can feel confident that your baby is actually receiving enough milk if they are feeding every 2 to 4 hours per day, which is about 8 to 12 times in a 24-hour period. They are content and settled after their feed. Your breasts are emptying after your breastfeed, and your baby has a really good output. So 6 to 8 wet nappies a day and a couple of poos, yellow, mustardy colour, soft poos per day. These are really reassuring signs that your baby is in fact receiving enough breast milk. It's really easy to feel stressed when you're breastfeeding because you can't physically see how much milk your baby is receiving from the breast like you can in a bottle. The really important thing that I want you to remember is trust in your body, trust in your instincts. If you have a happy, content baby who is gaining weight and looks well, that you have to believe that you are in fact producing enough breast milk and they are in fact receiving enough milk. If you are concerned about how much milk your breasts are producing, I can do an entire video on how to increase your supply, but if you want one of those, just pop it in the comments below and I can do that. Here are my 4 tips on how you can increase your milk supply. Firstly, get plenty of rest. If you are tired and your body is fatigued, it will impact your milk supply. Secondly, drink lots of water. Let's be honest, we're supposed to be drinking 8 to 12 glasses of water a day, and when we're breastfeeding, we should actually be aiming for at least 12 to 14 glasses of water a day, which I know is a lot, but it will benefit your milk supply. Thirdly, eat a variety of nutritious foods. Fueling and feeding your body will in fact help your milk supply as well. A great variety in your diet will also benefit your baby because research indicates that the more varied our diet is, the less fussy our toddlers are when it comes to starting foods. What am I up to? My 4th tip is get plenty of support when you go home, whether that's from a midwife, a community health nurse, friends, family, pediatricians. Having a lot of support in the postnatal period will benefit both your recovery and your breastfeeding journey. Thanks everyone for watching my video today, and if you want any specific videos on any particular topics about pregnancy, labour, birth and the postnatal period, please pop them in the comments below.